Hey, how about you, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Live Recruiting Show. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3 Dadgummit. Today is Wednesday, May the 14th, 2024, 2025. For you, it is Tuesday evening, May the 13th, 2025 for us. Keep that in mind moving forward with any today's, tomorrow's, or yesterday's. We might slip up and throw in there, and we will. We're prone to do it. We haven't done it in the past, and we absolutely will do it in the present. Got a great show for you tonight. Got a lot to talk about. The recruiting roller coaster. We're about to that peak, and it's about to start coming down. The big weekend ahead. We're going to talk about that. We're going to answer some questions from the corner. Here to do it with me, as he always is when he's here. He's here 100% of the time. Mr. Allen Head, how about you, big dog?
How about you, brother? How you doing tonight, man?
Man, I'm doing great. Listen. I have it's been really slow, obviously, in recruiting. There's this lull in between the spring practice visits because the coaches are now in eval and they're on the road.
Yes.
So the kids are going to start coming in right now. We're going to talk about the big weekend ahead, but it's much more fun for me when there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's that little twinge of anxiety about what is all we're going to do. You see all these visitors coming in. How's it going to play out? It's just a little bit of an excitement wave. And like you talked about, from the conclusion of the transfer portal, or what seems to be the conclusion for Auburn, who knows? They may add a guy here or there selectively. I think they're kind of sifting through what's in there, which is not a lot right now.
Right.
And they are moving squarely into high school recruiting. And it is an exciting time because you look at this visitor list like you just talked about, 12 guys, which, I mean, pound for pound, I'd put it up against anybody in the country right now as far as who they're bringing in. I mean, you have some elite names on this list, and I'm excited to get to it.
And we're going to get to it. 13, though. I added Goon Tuesday, so there's 13 now. Before we get to that list, though, I want to say if you can't see it at home, you should see it because I'm rocking that quarter zip from the Roback, folks. If you're not familiar with the Roback, there's only one way to describe it. Best fit, best feel. Only one way, but two adjectives. For those who aren't familiar with Roback, they're completely changing the game and they're incredibly comfortable activewear. Roback has released so many items within their new licensed game day collection, and it's your favorite. It's our favorite. It's your favorite, too. Try it on, I dare you. With novel polo designs and clean hoodie and Q-zip designs for some of your favorite schools, including Auburn, it's definitely worth checking out. Nobody else on the market is pairing these level custom designs with this quality of activewear. It's fantastic. Roback's everyday shorts or their Delta Performance pants. They got some pants, folks. Woo! They got some pants. Perfect pairing with your tops. Both super comfortable, have an elastic waistband and great fabric that is made to have the appearance of a nice short look, but the comfort for a day on the move. Everybody is moving. Roback has also been proudly leading the NIL charge, having signed partnerships with multiple college football stars, past and present, and are becoming the go-to brand for college athletes across the country. Use the promo code Auburn20 on Roback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off performance polos, shorts, and more with the promo code Auburn20. Appreciate Roback sponsoring the show. Love their activewear and outerwear. All right, Alan, let's take a little gander. We, like I said, up to 13. We in the past 24 hours at Auburn Live on 3, we've dropped Landon Duckworth.
Yes.
The quarterback from Jackson, Alabama, who was scheduled to come in. Now, here was the deal. He's not coming in this week, and he is rescheduled for May the 30th, which is very interesting because who else is coming in on May the 30th?
One Travis Burgess.
So you've got both of those guys, and we were talking before the show, folks, and I know both of them are on that list. I would be highly surprised if we see both of those guys visit on the same weekend.
I'm with you, Jeffrey. I mean, it feels to me like they're kind of trying to nudge one or either one of them for a commitment or some kind of momentum there. But having two quarterbacks on a weekend, even if they don't get a commitment out of one of the two prior to that weekend, you just don't see it a lot. Typically speaking, you want whoever your quarterback coach is to be with that one singular target, focus and dedicate your time and attention on them, and then you can kind of deviate on another weekend. But it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to push one to commit, I would think it'd be Travis Burgess. That's just my guess here.
Yeah, there's no pros really when it comes to bringing in two guys. When you're only taking one and you've got your sights set on pretty much tone down to those two guys, at least for right now. We can see some more names, but I just don't see that happening. I think we'll see somebody shuffle some dates, whether it's Duckworth rescheduling it again or Travis coming in earlier or something like that. I just don't see both of those guys coming on May the 30th. We have had two additions. Adam Balagoon Ali,
yes,
the 4-star linebacker from Florida, is coming in. Boy, I like Auburn's chances with him, especially coming back. And also 4-star interior offensive line Deron Parks has been added to the list.
Big one.
Let me pull up the list real quick, folks. For all you cool cats watching on YouTube, you'll have the benefit of seeing this. For all you Spotify, I think there's another one. What's the other one? Apple Podcasts.
Yes, Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, man, y'all don't get the benefit, Let me. All right, here we go. Going to go through it real quick. Alan, we'll come back and talk about some off the top. Your top-rated visitors coming in this weekend: Anthony Tank Jones, 5-star edge; Derek Cooper, Trenton Henderson, Bryce Perry Wright, Ernest Rankins, Jay Lamar, Bodney Cleveland, C.J. Hester. All Brody Jennings is coming in the Michigan commitment.
Yes.
Okay, so all of those guys are top 300 in the On3 industry rankings. Goon is just out of the top 300, and Deron Parks, I believe, is a 4-star on Rivals, that's what we're going to be using at On3, I believe, soon. So I'm going to use whichever's higher. Dalton Toothman and Dominic Harris. So 3 offensive linemen coming in. What kind of jumps out to you, Alan, about this official visit weekend?
Well, I think what jumps out to me is the variety of the positions that you have coming in. I mean, you're hitting every position room. There's not one person that's not going to be busy or active this weekend. You've got running back is a real big need to me in this class. You've got probably 2 of the top 3 on your board coming in. So big weekend for Derek Nix. Obviously seeing Adam Balagoon Ali come in again, coming off of, was it A-Day or Big Cat that he was in for?
A-Day.
A-Day.
No, I'm sorry. It was Big Cat.
So coming in off of Big Cat, now you have another opportunity to get in front of him. I think that's one that DJ Durkin has an opportunity to see some momentum with. You can't not mention Anthony Tank Jones, number 1 player in the state, being here at a premium position. He's a pass rusher that gives you some portability as a guy that could potentially even play end for you. So a really unique skill set from him. And then obviously D-line, O-line, when you get the variety of targets that you have coming in, and Ernest Rankins, Bryce Perry Wright, Trenton Henderson as a pass rusher, and then offensive line, you talked about Dalton, the Dennis Toothman coming in, and then you've got Deron Parks, who I believe he's got a top 4 of Auburn, Penn State, Kentucky, and Ohio State. Am I right on that? I think he's visiting all 4 of those. So a really unique battle shaping up for him, but a guy that Auburn really likes as a swing offensive lineman. I think they see him more as a tackle, but a guy that could play inside at guard. Right. Other schools see him a little bit differently. But all the same, Jeffrey, you saw this guy in person. Extremely impressive on the hoof, massive hands, big, strong, physical kid, and the kind of guy you would love to get in this class.
I think the 2 positions that jump out to me: defensive line, you mentioned Ernest Rankins, Bodney Cleveland, Bryce Perry Wright. Edge, you got Tank Jones, Trenton Henderson. Running back, you've got this is kind of your A and 2. Yeah. But how about this? I don't want to pigeon. What do you call it?
Pigeonhole yourself.
Pigeonhole myself into 2 categories because I love the defensive line group, the trio coming in from there. I love the edge. I love the running backs. I love the offensive linemen. Some core guys there. It's not a flashy offensive line group. As a matter of fact, if you look at the at the list, they're the bottom 3 guys. You got Deron Parks, Dalton Toothman, and Dominic Harris. So not a highly ranked trio, but foundation guys, core guys for a class. I think we could also see their rankings improve. Outside linebacker we've talked about, but defensive line, edge, and running back.
Yeah,
loaded groups. I mean, Brody Jennings, C.J. Hester, both 4 stars. Getting them on campus will be big. And then Goon at linebacker. Love this guy. What do you think about Goon?
I like him. Sideline to sideline athlete, a guy that's probably going to – I think he's probably more of a weak side, less of a Mike, but an inside linebacker all the same.
I think he even said dime. The same thing you just mentioned?
So dime is absolutely in their sub package. That's like your weak side linebacker in that formation. Kind of what Alabama used to call the money. I think that's what they refer to as the dime in DJ's defense. So a similar position there, but he's a guy with a lot of speed, physical linebacker, can play inside the box. Again, good in coverage. So
Yeah,
he's
he
a
says, I think I would play the dime position.
yeah. And I think dime is the same as money, but don't quote me on that. I do need to
Sure.
do some research there, but I
I
think
mean,
that's the
he's
same position.
definitely not a dime as an extra defensive back. He's a linebacker.
Right. He's a linebacker, but it's a specialty role, a specialty position in the sub package group when you've got 5 and 6 defensive backs on the field. So
Okay.
he's a guy that you can put out there in passing downs, and he's able to capitalize and make sure that he don't lose contain like we did on multiple passing downs. Right. I can't tell you how many times you saw a running back get loose or a tight end get loose, making a 3rd and long, a 4th and manageable, and then teams being able to convert on 4th down. So having a linebacker with that level of coverage skill set, that's a big plus, and somebody that DJ Durkin has put a lot of time into. You can tell who the guys he's starting to hone in on. This is a guy that's visited multiple times now. You can tell he's high on DJ's board. And when you watch his huddle highlights, you can see why.
All right. So we're going to keep following. We're going to update any list when it comes to the official visit list throughout the week. As it stands right now, 13 we have confirmed. Tentatively, you know how these things can change. People can move it back. We've seen them do it already. We've seen 2 additions. We've seen a couple of subtractions over the last few days. So, but as of Tuesday night, Auburn has 13 guys coming in for official visits, and we'll be tracking all that at Auburn Live on 3. All right, let's get to some questions from the corner. We've talked about what we want to talk about. Let's see if they want us to break it down even more. All right, getting us kicked off is Barner Becca 98. Fantastic poster. Really like Becca and her presence on the board. She was talking about walk-up songs the other day. I like that. Topic. Anyways, Barner Becca 98 wants to know, is signing a quarterback a high priority for Freeze and Company for the upcoming class? If we don't get one, is this class considered a fail? I love this question.
I think it's yes, I think it's important every year. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a blue chip, everybody's All-American every year. But to me, in the transfer portal era, you have to continuously stock arms in your room. Does that mean you're always going to have 4 quarterbacks on your roster? No, it does not. And we're seeing living proof of that right now. But continuously recruiting arms that you like out of the high school ranks, developing them within your system is an important piece. And when you think about how much a quarterback costs out of the portal by comparison to what it costs coming out of high school, it's a seismic difference. And I think the elite pieces to me are what you can get out of the high school ranks. The ceiling is typically still higher than what you can grab out of the portal, though that's changing a little bit more so now.
Is it a high priority for him? Sure. And I'm like you. I think you said it best. They're not going to go sign a Deuce Knight. No, I really don't think they can. They're prepared to pay another Deuce Knight type NIL package. And we talked about Kayshawn Henderson, some of these guys that probably would require that. It would probably be necessary to get a guy like that. I think you're looking. That's why we keep falling back to the Travis Burgess. We think he is a freaking steal at what he would cost. I think he's perfect in so many ways for what Auburn is looking for in this 2026 class. So that's why, it's hard for all of us, me, you, and Cole, both of us, to not see him in the class, at least right now. Everything points to Travis Burgess, and for so many reasons, including NIL.
No, I agree.
No, Smitty J, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alan.
No, I was going to say, you just think of it like an NFL roster, right?
Sure.
How much does your backup quarterback make? How much does your 3rd string quarterback make by comparison to your starter? And I think you have to kind of put that mindset together in thinking roster management of how I'm paying the compilation of my entire roster, not just one position, and how much you're going to invest and tie up in it.
You're not going to use 2 first-round picks in back-to-back drafts on a quarterback.
Well put. Well put, Jeffrey.
Smitty J, which duo is better? Edwards, let's see, who's that going to be? Braylon Edwards? Jira Edwards.
Yes,
and
Jira
Braylon
Edwards.
Womack.
Yes.
Oh, this is for you and Cole, so I'll leave it to you. Jira Edwards and Braylon Womack, or Eric Winters and Anquan Fagans, talent-wise, and rank them 1 to 4, Alan.
Okay, so Anthony's trying to get me early here in the show.
Yeah.
I love both of these sets of guys. They're different.
Boy, I tell
Fagans
you what,
to
it'd be tough to beat Fagans and Winters, wouldn't it?
It is, but I love Jira Edwards because he's one of those multi-dimensional chess pieces that you can put in a lot of different places. If you watch his junior highlight film, he predominantly lines up in the nickel or covering over a slot. You also see him coming down as kind of that boundary that can fill the lane. He's a guy that you can do a lot of different things with. I think he's 6'2", 205 right now and looks every
Big
bit of
boy.
it. And a kid that maybe even could give you some reps as a linebacker in some of your sub packages. So a really versatile piece, probably very similar to Eric Winters. Though Eric's a bigger body, he is a massive jumbo athlete. When you see him in person, you don't realize how big he is till you get in front of him. And he's every bit of 6'1", probably 210-ish right now, wouldn't you say, Jeffrey?
Yeah.
Maybe even bigger than that.
Right.
He's a guy that reminds you of who was the kid out of Jupiter Beach a few years back? You covered his recruitment. He's now in the NFL as a linebacker. Is it Sheffield or
Just Jay-Sean?
yeah. No, not Jay-Sean Sheffield.
Gosh.
I'll
He
think
plays
of
for the
it.
Jets, right?
Yes, yes.
Who is it?
Oh,
Sheffield Jets. It's certainly not Kendall.
Jamie and Sherwood.
Jamie and Sherwood.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what
yeah.
I said.
Sheffield. Jay-Sean Sheffield was the safety out of South Georgia.
Yeah, him and the cornerback went to the same school.
Correct. Yeah.
It wasn't Jay-Sean, it was something else.
No.
Jamie Sherwood, that's it though.
Yeah, but Jamie Sherwood, he reminds me of Jamie, and I think he's a guy that eventually is going to grow into a linebacker. But
Jay-Sean Sheffield, it was Jay-Sean Sheffield.
But a kid that's just a phenomenal athlete in Eric Winters, a kid that you can do so many different things with. So that's tough trying to decide between those two. I think Eric's going to start out as a boundary safety, and then we'll just kind of see what happens with him. But an electric athlete. And then you talk about Braylon Womack, maybe a little more diverse than Fagans. Fagans, to me, is going to make his money as a field safety in this league. And if I'm putting a comp on him, I'm going to take you back a little bit, Jeffrey, probably to when you first started covering. Were you on the Auburn beat in 99? Okay. So Deion Grant, free safety from Tennessee, led the SEC in interceptions with 9, and I think he had 2 returned for touchdown, ended up being a second-round pick in the NFL draft. But he is just Fagans is an absolute playmaker, reminds me of Grant made over. I mean, I think he's a kid that is going to be a turnover machine at Auburn and somebody that's going to make his living doing that. Womack might be a more versatile athlete and a guy that I think they line Fagans up in a couple different spots, but I really believe Womack could be a 3-position defensive back for you in playing corner, safety, or nickel. He's got that level of versatility. Very bright kid, very high football IQ, and somebody I think Auburn would be just head over heels to get in this class. I mean, they would just be thrilled to land that kid. He's somebody you could build your whole back end around.
I don't know. I haven't watched enough of the younger two, but I know that Anquan Fagans would be number 1, and I don't know that I've seen enough from anybody. I just think I love Anquan Fagans. I think he is a freaking. I think he's a monster. I think he is a freaking dude.
I'm with you. He's between it. I mean, I think when it's all said and done, he's going to be a second or a first round pick in the NFL draft.
I do too. I really do. I think he's a first rounder for me. We'll see how it plays out, but man, he makes plays. He is always around the ball. Very good player. Noah Tiger. All right. Putting us on the spot here, Alan. One edge in this class, and you get to choose Anthony Jones or Trenton Henderson.
I've got to go with Anthony Jones just because of the versatility. I think you get a 2-for-1 with him, whereas Trenton is purely a buck to me in this system right now because he's probably 220, real long arms, but a little bit slender. With Tank, I think he's 245, 250-ish right now, and you see the frame at 6'3", 6'4", where he could continue to add weight and place him in for you. Kind of similar to like a Morris Williams type frame. If that's true, I always want to gravitate towards the player that can play multiple positions as opposed to somebody that's just singular. That said, Trenton gives you a lot off the edge. And if he can give you double-digit sacks at that position, that's something we haven't seen in a really, really long time on the Plains.
I think I couldn't decide physically which one I would want. I think they're very close. I could flip my out can and just pick one, but because of that, I would choose Tank because he's the number one player in this. There's so much more other than, you know what I mean. Like there's perception. There's beating Alabama for the number one player in the state. That's why I would defer to Anthony Jones here.
No, you're right. The optics, the buzz that you create, right? And I think we're probably going to get a question about, is Auburn going to dominate the state again? Landing Tank Jones goes a long way to saying Auburn is still very much the team in state for recruiting.
Right on. Adam P1. Not to be confused with Adam P2. Since this weekend is a big visit weekend, which player do we expect to make the biggest move with? What player do we know the least about? I like the last part of that question because there's a couple of guys, Adam, for me, and it starts with the two defensive backs. And Alan, you asked about C.J. Hester, cornerback or safety. These guys, most of these guys that they're I should just list them as DBs, and I think I did in my position overview because I don't want to pigeonhole one into a cornerback or safety, or there's always the nickel they're recruiting guys as. Preston Ashley is strict nickel. So I should just say DBs. So anyways, as far as not knowing the least about, for me, Alan, it's the defensive backs. CJ Hester, who I don't think has visited Auburn, and then you've got Brody Jennings, who I don't think has ever visited Auburn.
No, I think you're right. And I'm with you because kind of fleshing out the cornerback board or the defensive back board beyond the two safeties that we've talked about on this show over and over. And we just had a question about Braylon Womack and Jaira Edwards. We've talked about them a ton, but everybody else in the secondary, it's been kind of shaky for us, right?
Right.
Just not a ton of names where we feel a certain level of confidence that they could end up landing in this class. I was typically this time of the year, I try to put together a mock class, to give some expectation of what you think Auburn might land. And because of the unassuredness at both running back and defensive back, I couldn't put something together in any kind of good faith that it would have any level of indication with what you could land, right? Like I just don't know enough. So they're interesting to me. It's interesting to see what's going to happen with that group.
Which player do we expect to make the biggest move with? I've got a couple of guys here. I mean, listen, you can look at that question one of two ways. It's like, who does Auburn have the most to gain with? Like, who, is Auburn number 4, number 5 for Trenton Henderson? So if so, they could move up. That's a lot to make up a lot of ground. I think he means more of like at the end of the weekend, who do you think Auburn has improved their stock enough to be do you like Auburn's chances a lot more?
I think for me, it's Dalton Toothman because potentially at the end of this weekend, he could start to narrow things down and really make a decision. I think if I'm looking at biggest impact to me, it's a commitment. And Dalton Toothman is the one that I think is closest to making a commitment. And if you have a really good weekend, maybe that pushes you over the edge and you go ahead and get a very valued piece on the board for Jake Thornton.
I tell you what, I'm staying in the offensive line, but I'm going with Deron Parks.
I like it.
I'm going with Deron Parks. I really feel like I got to interview him in person when he left in the spring, and he freaking loves it. He was going to come in May the 30th. He has moved that official visit up to this weekend. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on him. I think both of these guys, Dalton Toothman, Deron Parks, both of those guys Auburn could be the team to beat for both of those guys when they leave on Sunday.
I like it.
BBP does, rescheduling his visit hurt Auburn's chances with Landon Duckworth? I don't think so.
No, I don't. I mean, to me, this was more about him feeling comfortable about the weekend that he wanted to come in. Georgia, he was slated to go visit on the 30th. He had kind of moved Auburn into that this weekend because that's what worked for him. But with Georgia obviously picking up a big-time quarterback commitment as of late, they don't need Duckworth to come in anymore. This is a more natural weekend for him. So, no, I don't think it hurts hurts Auburn's chances at all. And, in fact, high school recruiting is a little bit different from portal recruiting, right?
Sure.
You want to be closer towards the end of the visit sometimes. But it all depends on the recruitment too. Sometimes you want to be the one to set the milestone, right? To set the
Look at
benchmark for
Cantwell.
everybody else. Yeah. I mean, the benchmark was set for him, and he said, "Enough. I'm in. I'm ready." So it all depends on the kid, and I think they do a good job of reading the room on these kids of who's ready to pop and who they're ready to press. So if he's allowed to move back to the 30th, maybe it's because they think that's the best situation for them too. Because
Right.
the team has to agree to host you that weekend. It's not like the kid just gets to determine when he's going to come in.
Let's see what Dark Horse _ WDE. How many of On3 industry ranking 5-star recruits does Auburn sign in this class? I've got them pulled up. I think we went through this, but we'll run down them real quick again for Dark Horse. Just look now. Listen, obviously this is going to change, but as it stands now, and listen, let's go to the top 32 because that's what I think usually is with it. So we'll look at the industry ranking top 32, and let's see. We'll start 1 through 5. There's Zion Ely at 5. There's Tristan Keys at 3.
Okay.
Those are options.
Yes.
6 through 10, you've got Tyler Atkinson. You've got Keyshawn Henderson.
Okay.
11 through 15, Braylon Womack.
Yep.
Moving on down, you've got Anthony Tank Jones at 18. You've got C.D. Morgan at 19.
Yep.
You've got Xavier Griffin to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
Jaira Edwards at 27.
Okay.
Caden Prothro at 30. Xavier Crowell at 31. Darius Gray at 32. There's Derek Cooper. Let's throw him in there, 34. All right, we'll stop at 35. So Derek Cooper, we'll include him. So how many of those guys so early, man? I don't know.
Give me 2 to 3, I think.
Okay.
2 to 3, I think you can get if Auburn. All right.
I do too, Alan.
I'm working off the premise that Auburn goes 8-4 or better.
Okay.
And if that holds true, I think 2 to 3 is probably the number.
I think if Auburn goes 8-4, like they should, in my opinion, I think you're going to get at least 2 of them. At least 2.
You're right. I mean, I can see a world because I think you got not a ways to go, but I think you got some ground to make up on Braylon Womack, but he's attainable, right?
Sure.
Like I think you can beat Ohio State for him. Jaira Edwards squarely in it. You're going to have to beat Oregon. A couple other Ohio State, I think, is also in on him. So those are 2 schools you're going to have to beat. We've talked about Tank Jones ad nauseum about how Auburn has moved up for him.
I mean, don't count C.D. Morgan.
C.D. Morgan. I mean, again,
don't count out C.D. Morgan.
No, don't count it. Probably count him to commit to Alabama in July. Let's continue on record as saying as such.
Right.
But if Auburn has the kind of season that gives them some momentum, do not count out Hugh Freeze on that one. Okay? And then I'm not going to count out Auburn for Zion Ely. I'm not.
Hey, you took the words right out of my mouth, big dog.
Okay, so right now we've just named 5.
Right. Very doable to get 2 of those 5.
I think so too.
At least 2 of those 5.
And who knows if somebody like Jace Matthews doesn't move up.
Oh man, there's some potential with this class if you win 8 games.
I'm with you. If you live up to expectation on the field, and you're showing a quality product out there. Because think about how many games, Jeffrey, you were at last year where there was just these kids come in, there's a level of buzz, there's a level of excitement, and then Auburn loses. And they don't just lose. Like you have the Cal situation where you play so ugly that it's hard to get something positive out of the game, other than the fact that these kids say, hey, Auburn's still a place I can come in and play immediately. That was the spin on those. Now you want to sell them on the environment, the history. This is what we're building. This is what we're becoming, and this is what you can be a part of. So the pitch is changing.
Right. And just want to see some good football.
Yes.
Some damn good football. We'll talk about this in the offseason more leading up to the season, but good football, man. We talked about it all last season. I just want to see some good football. Play some good football and lose. I'm okay.
Yes. Yeah. If you just get beat because there's a better team.
Right.
That happens. That's
That
football.
happens. That's right. Tigers Unlimited. Would Auburn take commitments from Goon and Deron Parks right now? In my opinion, yes, on both.
I'm going to say that's a hell yes on both.
Me too. You're not bringing them in first chance you get.
No.
Because you want to slow play them.
No. And I get it. I understand where fans are, sometimes they want to see those high star guys being the ones to commit. When you see targets that they've had on campus multiple times, they like them.
And especially when it's DJ Durkin. And you're like, okay, if DJ Durkin, listen, DJ Durkin held Goon's hand. Not literally, but damn, they were tied at the hip. Like Goon wasn't Balagoon Ali, but it's called Goon.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a name or anything. It's just what is. So
Sure.
when I refer to Goon, there you go. But listen, when he came for Big Cat, he was the only linebacker. Jacquez was there. That's right. Yep. But Adam was there before Jacquez, and I'm telling you, Durkin didn't leave his side. Like when they do that, that lets me know where they stand on the board, and it's very high. And then bringing him in, so absolutely on Goon. I think DJ Durkin loves this kid. I think they would take him immediately. And like you said, Deron Parks is such a versatile offensive lineman. He's huge. He's a good kid. He is a guy that would be a great core add, and I could see him being a consensus 4-star before it's all over with.
Sure. And they want a big offensive line class this year. I mean,
right.
They're hoping to take 5, 6, maybe even 7 if it's the right 7, though that's a difficult number to get to for sure.
Yes, right. Carter Man 427, gun to Allen Head. Hey, how about you? Give me the 2 tight ends that Ben Hugh will land in this class.
Okay. I thought about this when I saw Carter. I saw his question on this one, so I had the opportunity to kind of do a little research. Give me Xavier Tiller and J.C. Anderson. Those are the 2 that I'm going to go with.
Okay.
Tiller, I like for all the reasons that I think you and I have discussed privately.
Yeah.
J.C. Anderson, I like that matchup because of who's involved in the recruitment. I think Auburn, Ole Miss, and Illinois. I like Auburn in that matchup. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. Maybe Illinois will surprise me. Maybe Ole Miss will, they'll be able to lure him in. But I think Auburn has an opportunity to win that one.
I like the J.C. Anderson pick for the reasons that you mentioned. And he loves Auburn. He loves Ben. He's been several times. I wouldn't count out. Who was the other Jacobson? Yeah, Evan Jacobson. I wouldn't count out Auburn for him. I wouldn't count out Auburn for pro through. But let's be realistic here. And I like your realism and landing a guy like Xavier Tiller, who you probably could have already had in this class, and a J.C. Anderson. I like that.
Yeah, 2 4-star blue chip tight ends. These are both guys that are well thought of in the industry. So it'll be interesting, man, to see how it goes. But those are the 2 that I think are the most likely today.
There you go.
And we'll see what Caden Prothro is going to visit. Jacobson's going to visit. And I think you've got 2 other tight ends that are coming in as well.
You do. Several guys coming in. That board could change it very quickly. But certainly in on a bunch of blue chippers. Speaking of blue, AU Blue 40, who would be our top 5 running back target as of today? Top 5, J. Lamar, Derek Cooper, Xavier Crowell would be your top 3, I would guess.
Yeah, and then behind them, the names Eric Perry and Xavier Rucker are probably the 2 that I'm watching the most. 2 more recent offers. Both of them are a little bit unproven at this point, or maybe just new and emerging names that are 3-star guys. Perry's more of I've comped him to Boobie Whitlow a little bit with more speed. That's kind of what he looks like on tape. He's a quarterback that's a phenomenal athlete. Rucker he's a one-cut runner, added a lot of weight as of late. Derek Nix was just in to see him.
Oh, yeah.
And was impressed with what he saw, enough so to issue him an offer. And then I think Cole mentioned later that he's talking about setting up an official visit. And Perry's also talking about setting up an official. So if those guys are coming in on official visits, that means to me they're very much high up on the board. So that would be the top 5 for me at this point.
And you think Auburn gets one of those guys?
I do. I think Auburn gets one of those 5 unless the board shifts again and they see somebody else that like better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good stuff, man. Augustus McCray sitting around in the shade all the time talking. If you could pick just 3 recruits from this weekend's visitor list to sign with Auburn, who would they be? 3 recruits, 3 of them. 3.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm starting it probably with Rankins.
Yeah.
I'm going to move over and grab one of Tank. I'm going to grab Tank.
Yep.
And I'm probably going to get me a running back, one of those 2 running backs.
I think those are all fair. You got 2 of mine because I would absolutely go Rankins. You know, you need a 3 tech in this class. You need somebody that can create some havoc for you on the interior. He's that guy on this weekend anyway.
Yeah.
Anthony Tank Jones for me, again, the versatility and the portability, premium pass rusher. And then just because I want to see him get a big one, give me Trenton Henderson for Rock Bellantoni. I would love to see Rock be able to land a kid that he pegged very early on, somebody he developed a relationship with when he was at FAU, and then capitalizes it on at Auburn. Great guy, and I would love to see him get a big feather in his cap in this recruiting class.
Boy, can you imagine getting both of those edge and then a Rankins for that defensive line? I love it.
Yeah, I mean, you think about what wins in this league, and I think I've heard Hugh Freeze on record as saying it. It's elite quarterback play and elite defensive line play. That is what drives the league year in and year out, and adding those guys increases your pass rush, your athleticism, your power on the defensive line. Adding, if you get another quarterback to go along with what you've already added to that class, Auburn's setting itself up to be a playoff contender. That's what you're doing if you land those kind of guys.
That's right. That's right. Oh, you know what I wanted to say? Update on Carlos Moore, the Elon transfer offensive tackle, committed to Maryland on Tuesday, and that was honestly after the quotes he gave me last week, it was pretty obvious which way he was headed. He is from Maryland. They offer a lot easier path to starting, not really starting playing time at least. And we kind of saw the writing on the wall, but that's kind of that ends Auburn's dance with the transfers to our knowledge. I don't think there's anybody else left.
No, I mean, nobody that we know of right now anyway, right? They could be evaluating multiple guys. And look, they've got a really good scouting department. I mean, some guys, I know you know them better than I do, Jeffrey, and if you want to toss their name out, please do. But guys like Aaron, guys like he does the running back analysis stuff.
Grant Miller.
Grant Miller's phenomenal at what he does. A lot of guys on that staff that deserve a lot of credit that comb the transfer portal, making sure that they're looking through every nook and cranny to find talent to add to Auburn's roster. And I think by Justin's most recent count, Auburn's at around 82 scholarship players on the roster. So you still got 3 to play with if you find the right ones. Maybe they end up giving those to walk-ons.
Sure.
What
happens to at the quarterback position? Do you give the scholarship to – gosh, why am I drawing a blank?
It's John Colvin, right?
John Colvin. Like, why else do you not pursue Matthew Caldwell any harder than you did? Matthew Caldwell was the transfer quarterback from Troy who visited Auburn, was set to commit to Auburn, and then didn't, and ended up going to Texas a few days later. And that was a direct result of Auburn not pushing for him.
Yeah.
There's a reason Auburn didn't push for him, and I promise you it had nothing to do with off the field or grades or anything like that. It was something either they didn't want to – I don't know. I could see John Colvin being a scholarship quarterback if they don't add anybody else, unless they've got something up their sleeve, come July?
Yeah. I mean, there are graduate transfers, I think, that could still jump into the portal at this point. I don't know all the rules, and things are changing with the portal restrictions and windows right now. Anyway, there's a lot in flux. And I think we'll know more once we get a house case settlement, because there's so many things that are in the works that are going to center off of whatever that settlement is. I mean, I hate to talk about a different network. We're going to be partners here relatively soon, but if you follow Ross Dillinger's work at all, he is pretty
Love
much,
Ross.
yes, does a phenomenal job kind of covering this and covering the NCAA at
Was an
large.
Auburn beat writer at one point.
Yes, he was. Mississippi State graduate, if I remember
He sure
correctly.
is. I think he worked for Decatur. Decatur used to have a beat writer. I don't know if it was Decatur or not. No, was it Mobile? Did he
I don't
take
think he
over
was
after
with,
Woodbury?
I think he was with Decatur. I don't think he was
Okay.
with the Mobile Press Register.
Okay.
Because
Evan was pretty much with Mobile for remember Evan Woodbury?
yes, and then you
Evan
had
was fantastic.
Neil McCready was with the Press Register there for a while as well.
That was before Evan, I believe.
Okay. I think you're right. I think Evan took his spot when Neil moved on. So, but no, Ross is phenomenal, but he's kind of covering all of that. They've talked loosely about some of the kind of the rule changes as it pertains to the portal. But again, they want to get a settlement in place, kind of figure out how they want to hash all that out. And so there's a lot of moving pieces to it.
Yeah, I know the coaches are ready for them to make a move one way or the other, so they'll know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine being in that level of limbo, not knowing what you're going to do with your roster?
Good stuff, fellas. Hey, do you have any how about yous this week?
I have one.
I do too.
But it's to 3 people.
Okay.
All right. So I want to give a how about you to Miss Coach Pink, a how about you to Jessica, and a how about you to my wife, Javen, for dealing with us at night when we do these podcasts and you taking care of everything while we're doing this. And 2, just to steal a line for Jeffrey here, for all the other things that you do. Okay. So thank you.
That's my line?
No, the A and the 2 that you love that I
do. What did you say your wife's name is?
Javen.
Spell it.
Javen.
What a cool name.
Yeah.
I'd have married her just for that. Hell yeah, Javen. How about you, big girl? How about you? I wanted to give Barn Rebecca. We're keeping all female how about yous today.
I like it.
And how about MLC? Let me throw her in there as well.
There
in honor of Mother's Day.
That was my thought process there, Jeffrey. You read my mind.
MLC, Barn Rebecca. There seems like there was somebody that I'm forgetting. If we're forgetting you, I'll get you next week. MLC, Barn Rebecca 98. Miss Coach Pink.
Yes.
Miss Jessica Andrews with the Talents Group. Give her a call 334-704-4442.
And
Javen Head.
Yes.
Love it, man. I've never heard that name. That's how unique it is. It's very good. I like it.
Learn something new every day.
Absolutely. She's got to be a winner. She's a 5-star, sounds like.
She is, for sure.
All right, folks, that's going to do it, man. Don't forget about Roback. Use the promo code Auburn20 on Roback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers. Spelled RHOBACK.com. 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with Auburn20. That's going to do it, man. Y'all stay tuned. Stay locked in to Auburn Live on 3. We're going to continue to update this visitor list. We're going to have blowout covers this weekend of the visitor list. We're going to be back Sunday night for the call-in show. I believe Coach Pink will be back with us as well. So stay tuned to Auburn Live on 3. Appreciate everybody listening. Appreciate everybody watching. For Alan Head, for Zach in the back who stayed in the back, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay in that left lane. See ya.